Our next question is from Danielle. What are some high-level insights that you've personally gained since taking your team fully remote? What advice would you give to other founders, executives that are managing a fully remote team for the first time? Well, the number one thing I realized is if we're going to go fully remote, then there are opportunities to find people outside of the, call it 30 miles around Silicon Valley. So we're no longer tied to people coming to an office. Therefore, every position we should open up and think about, can this position be done from home? And the thing that's been really shocking to me is the accelerator. Our accelerator, the Launch Accelerator, which you can apply to at launch.co/apply, we thought nobody would ever want to come to a virtual accelerator. And I think we were right about that most people didn't want to. And so if you were serious about starting a company, you would come to Silicon Valley, even if it was just for 12 weeks, meet all the players here, and then go back to Florida, Chicago, New York, wherever you happen to be. And I was fine with that. I think that was actually the best practice just in the last 2 or 3 years because San Francisco was too expensive. Now San Francisco rents are going to go down 10, 20, 30%, I believe. It's not going to crash to 40 or 50%. I don't think we're going to go from $4,000 apartments to two, but I do think we'll go from $3,000 apartments to $2,500 apartments, just as an example. And that's actually good in terms of more people being able to come here. So when I questioned and I asked our existing graduates, hey, we're moving to a remote first accelerator, a bunch of them said, I would not have come. And then another group of them said, I've had a great experience doing that. So what I've come to conclude is there are two types of entrepreneurs. Ones that want to come to Silicon Valley and be in the room with Sequoia or Benchmark or Kraft, and they want to meet the top investors and they want to break bread with them and have a hamburger or go for a drink and really get to know them. And then there's a group of people who want to stay home. They have families in some cases. Maybe they're introverts. They don't want to travel, whatever the reason is. And they are having a wonderful time just popping on a Zoom 3 times a week, and they're getting a ton out of the accelerator. So long story short, we're going to move to a hybrid model where people will get to choose. And perhaps even our 19th class will be remote and our 20th will be in person. The 21st will be remote. 22nd will be in person, even numbered cohorts in person, odd number ones remote. And it'll be the same deal for everybody. And then we'll let people come and go between the two classes if they like. So that was the big realization for me, is that hybrid is going to win the day. And being great at hybrid is the big win. And there is the other big realization I'm having when I just did a Google spreadsheet and I started looking at inside.com and Launch and other companies. If you look at the premium for what it costs to have somebody in Silicon Valley, I'll just give an example, a video editor. Somebody to edit this very startup, this week in startups. In San Francisco, they would cost literally double or triple, 2.5 times even, what they might get paid in Los Angeles, Canada, Florida, Texas, et cetera. And then you put in work from home and, people might be willing to take less if they work from home because they don't have to commute. And that little dance is going to occur in people's minds, and that little mini negotiation is going to occur. So what I think is going to happen is the extreme salaries in the cities versus the low salaries overseas are going to create an equilibrium where there's going to be a new remote salary structure. And the remote salary structure will seem cheap if you were hiring people in New York and San Francisco. And it'll seem slightly more expensive if you were overseeing or over sending work overseas, but maybe just moderate. And that's going to change the whole dynamic, I believe, because there's some companies that are literally going to have 2 people in their dev shop or in their design department or in their sales department for every one they had in Silicon Valley. And those people will not be lower quality because so many high quality people in my personal life are moving to Hawaii, to Tahoe, to Austin. I mean, I'm just watching it left and right. People are fleeing New York to go to upstate New York. And nobody wanted to be in upstate New York. Upstate New York was so depressed. You could buy an acre of land for $1,000 or $2,000, an acre of land for low thousands of dollars. You could buy 10 acres for 50 grand. So we're seeing this entire thing flip over. And I think it's going to be wonderful because I think it leads us out of the recession. So let me explain my theory here. We're in a recession right now, obviously. We are seeing a lot of jobs go away. Well, I think companies are going to let go of their least productive employees when they see people's daily reports or they look at the output. They're going to just see that some people are not pulling their weight, whereas those managers would normally judge those people by their personality in the office and how long they were in the office. Now they're going to just actually look at the work and make a decision. So it's going to be a little more cutthroat there, and they're going to cut the bottom 10, 20%. Then they're going to see that, whoa, the top 10 or 20% are doing amazing. Let's find more people like them. But we're going to find those people anywhere in the world, and they're going to cost 20 or 30% less. And we're going to hire them twice as fast. And we're going to get rid of our office space and our facilities, which were 30% of our cost bases. So now you're going to see companies become twice as efficient as they go through this process of becoming hybrid or fully remote. And that could then make those companies so profitable that they start investing in advertising, in hiring, in job training, in marketing. And then you have the trickle down effect and the monetary velocity effect, which is the more money moves around, the better it is for everybody because you get taxes off of that money and you get spent and it gets shifted around. So if I sit here on all of our money and don't do anything with it, that's not good for society. But if I hired two more writers, marketers, researchers for my business, and they go and spend money on marketing and advertising on some website or on podcasts, that's good for society. It's good for the economy. So I think it's going to be amazing. And as a founder executive, you got to just get really good at managing people remote, which is you need to know what they're working on. And you don't want to be a micromanager, but remote work requires a level of, I don't want to call it micromanaging, but micro monitoring, maybe. I don't think you should have cameras on people all day, but there are some reasonable concessions. Like if you're working, you need to be in the Slack room, you need to be available, you need to be in a quiet room, and we need to see your green light is on so we can talk to you. And you need to respond to us, not from your mobile phone, but from your desktop where you're working because you're getting paid to work and it's not a vacation. Remote from home, remote work doesn't mean remote vacation or part-time work. Okay. So there's a lot of that stuff going on that I think managers need to work on. But I just see a huge opportunity for people to have more efficient companies to get more done and for people to lower their cost basis and enjoy their lives more. It might be much more enjoyable for somebody to not have a 2-hour commute every day, reclaim that time. If they reclaim 2 hours, maybe 1 hour goes to the company, 1 hour goes to them. Maybe they take a lower salary. Maybe they get more joy in their life. There's going to be a whole negotiation around that. And you saw that with Zuckerberg talking about, hey, if you leave San Francisco, that premium we paid you to move here is now gone. Your salary is going to get lowered. I mean, he's a cutthroat guy. And that's a level of cutthroatness that I didn't even anticipate. You would think somebody worth $50 billion would be like, hey, if you move out of San Francisco, we'll give you your salary for a year, or we'll freeze your salary for 2 years if you go to a lower cost place. There might have been a better way to do it. But in fairness, Zuckerberg is lowering those people's salaries because if he doesn't and they move to Nashville, then the person who lived in Nashville who didn't get the extra $20K for living in San Francisco cost of living adjustment, well, they're going to be pretty bummed. They're going to say, oh, should I move to San Francisco, then leave? And then you'll give me a $20K bump? You get the idea. Great question, Danielle. And I'm still learning, to be honest.